Hello and welcome. Thanks to everyone for joining me today. It's really good to see everyone. Who have we got? We've got Alan, we've got Bruce, we've got Cass, we've got Gary, we've got iPhone, Jackie, Liz, Val, Norman, Dave, and Jason, and Shirley. Welcome, Shirley, who's just dropped in. Brilliant. Really good to see you all. Hopefully, I've just done a sound test with Bruce. Hopefully, everyone can hear me. If you can't, then I will have my Facebook on. So if you can send me a quick message if you can't hear me. Mind you, if you can't hear me,
Can
you
hear
won't know
you.
what to do. But
We can hear you, Chris. Can hear you.
okay, fantastic. I assume that was Shirley. Brilliant.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Yes, it is me.
Excellent, excellent. Good to see you all anyway. Okay, let me just move on to the first bit. Okay, so picture the scene. Scotland 2020, Caledonian Thistle, they're playing at home. The club are trying out a brand new recording system, which, at least in theory, is meant to track the ball in play. But what the technology didn't take into account was that the AI technology was confusing the ball with the linesman's bald head. So, welcome to a new AI world where things definitely are going to kick off. So let's put you onto the next screen and okay, so basically, hello and welcome. I'm Chris Haycock, and today what we're going to do, we're going to be finding out what all the hype about ChatGPT is all about and how it's going to impact the way that we all work. So let's start the show. Okay, so what are we going to cover today? Well, I'm going to try and cover as much as I can from a layman's perspective. Bear in mind that it wasn't so long ago, perhaps just only a few weeks, since I myself stumbled across ChatGPT. And normally I stay well away from things that I feel that are being completely overhyped in the media. I won't touch cryptocurrency with a barge pole. NFTs, well, they were an absolute no-go for me, and I have no interest in the Internet of Things. And I thought that I was pretty good at avoiding all the hype, to be honest. But then I came across ChatGPT. And for once, I actually thought to myself, this is a real game changer here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it down into as much as I can today, including what it's all about, how it works, and what you can actually use it for that's really, really useful. So what the hell is it? Well, you may have already heard of both OpenAI and ChatGPT mentioned before. Well, they're actually the same company. OpenAI, who own ChatGPT, have been going since 2015. What OpenAI does, it allows users to use their API to perform a wide range of natural language tasks, such as copywriting or translation or summarization or code creation or extracting text, that sort of thing. And it was and is cutting edge. But then they went and did something quite interesting. They created ChatGPT. And ChatGPT was launched in November last year. To be honest, ChatGPT doesn't really do anything fundamental and fundamentally new as such. The main difference is that it allows users to tap into natural language models using a familiar chatbot type of interface. The most interesting thing about it is that it remembers what you've previously said in each session, almost like you're having a normal conversation with a normal human being. So think of ChatGPT as a human being with knowledge of pretty much almost every topic under the sun, a human library. And when you ask it something, it searches through its memory and communicates its reply back to you in the same way that a human would do. But you're probably saying, well, yeah, but chatbots aren't really new, are they? Well, no. But up until OpenAI, traditional chatbots, they used pre-written scripts and used branches and forks to guide people through the conversation. Pretty much everything on the old chatbots was predetermined. So what ChatGPT does, will take what you ask it and keep a conversation going based on the context of your words. Even as it's spitting out its reply, it's actually thinking as it goes along, the same as a human being does. And it works in a very similar way to how Google's autocomplete works. You know, when you're searching something and you're typing something and it predicts what you're trying to say. Pretty much the same. It works out what you're typing and suggests as you're going along. And it works, ChatGPT, as it's conversing with you, it's actually thinking as it's going along. So it's very, very clever. But what is all the fuss about? Well, as I've said, OpenAI in itself isn't new. Over the years, language models that it's been trained on have been improving drastically, though. And previous language models have had different names, Ada, Babbage, Curie, and currently Da Vinci. And you'll notice how they're in alphabetical order, the same way as the Met Office names their storms. But back in June 2020, a language model called GPT-3 was launched. Now, GPT-3, it uses deep learning, and it produces incredibly human-like text that is capable of continuing a conversation based on what has already been said in that conversation. And this natural language processing was revolutionary. In April 22, the New York Times were they were pretty shocked at the quality of the output, and they described GPT-3 as being able to, quote, write original prose with fluency equivalent to that as a human. So is it here to stay? Well, yes, it is. And it is going to change everything. But why is everyone going wild about it? Why all this fuss about ChatGPT? Well, OpenAI launched ChatGPT last November, and they let anyone and everyone use it for free whilst it was in beta trial. And suddenly, anyone was able to generate high quality text that is original every time, fairly accurate, and actually sounded like a human. And when it launched, ChatGPT gained 1 million users in under 1 week, and it broke all the records for a new launch. And in fact, as of last week, the 1st of February, ChatGPT has 100 million users. Pretty astonishing what they've done. Even TikTok took 9 months to achieve the same amount of users. There are, of course, some potential concerns that the ChatGPT may impact badly in some areas. Plagiarism within the education sector, concerns about job losses in journalism and copywriting and creative industries, and even coding as well. And certainly in the education sector, there are some that claim that ChatGPT will lead to a crisis in learning. So it's definitely one to keep an eye on there. Move to the next slide. So how does it work? Now, I'm not going to spend too long on this because I've already covered it in the basics, but what do we know so far? Well, we know that ChatGPT is an AI-powered chatbot that uses natural language models called GPT-3, hence the name. The technology behind it is different because it can understand and respond to human-like conversation in a human-like manner. And you can ask it anything and get an answer from its huge, vast knowledge of database, a vast database of knowledge. But where does it get its information? Unsurprisingly, it was modeled on information from Wikipedia. But Wikipedia only really accounts for around about 3% of its knowledge or so. And it gets all the rest from the web, specifically a web archive called Common Crawl, which has more than 3 billion pages indexed. Not only that, but it has the text of almost every single book ever written. And that is a huge amount of data. And in total, in their databases, they've got 500 billion bits of text called tokens. So how do you use ChatGPT for free? Well, you need to head over to chat.openai.com. Now, it's currently free to use while it's in the beta, but it is so incredibly oversubscribed at the moment, and you might need to try it quite at times. And certainly for the purposes of this presentation, it's pretty much impossible, simply because it especially during working hours, it is so hard to get into. But all you need to do when you get there is to enter your email and password, or log on using Facebook or Google user credential, and you're straight in. So as I said, bear in mind that it is so incredibly popular that their servers can often tell you to come back later. In fact, I spent most of yesterday just trying to get in. It was a nightmare. There are other ways of doing it, which I'll show you as I'm going along. But signing up can be difficult. So be patient. Be prepared to sign up in the quieter hours. Okay, so I guess what happens when you launch something so amazingly popular, these things are going to happen. You are going to get times when you get outages, but that's all part and parcel of anything that is so popular. But once you're in, you get taken straight to the prompt screen where you can begin to use ChatGPT. So prompts, the magic beans. Some people have said that they've read AI text and it sounds like AI text. And I agree to a degree, up until I really started experimenting with the latest versions of ChatGPT myself. Earlier versions of the language models were pretty easy to detect AI content. You had very repetitive text, strange use of language, robotic sounding phrases. You know, it all sounded a bit clumsy and not completely not quite right. And to be honest, the same can be said for ChatGPT as well. However, if you know what you're doing, you can generate text that sounds incredibly human-like. And to do this, you absolutely must learn how to phrase your questions and responses in the right way. When you ask ChatGPT something, you are using what's called a prompt in the interface to ask it something. And you'll notice that it looks like a standard chat interface, and it all looks very familiar. And I mentioned that in order to get the most out of ChatGPT, you need to think about the context of your words. And getting to grips with these prompts are the single most important thing that you need to do if you're going to be using it for any specific purpose. I'll give you an example of how you can ask the same question, but use different contexts in the prompts to produce completely different responses. So first up, we've got example number 1, and we're going to ask it, why is the sky blue? So the sky appears blue to us because of the way the Earth's atmosphere scatters sunlight. So ChatGPT goes ahead and tells you exactly why the sky is blue. And it's because of the way the atmosphere scatters sunlight. That's fair enough. It's a good answer. But I want something more creative than that. And that sounds a little bit too scientific for me. So my next one, staying with the same question, of course, I'm going to change my prompt and ask the following. Why is the sky blue? Let's just play that. Why is the sky blue? And answer in a creative way using as many literary devices as possible. Now, literary devices. They're writing techniques that express ideas and meanings and feelings, such as using metaphors and similes and imagery, analogies, all of those things. In other words, you're asking it to use human-like language that we use in everyday life. And as you can see, the language used, the answer is completely different this time. It's almost prose or poetic. So you've got the sky, a canvas painted in the hue of a tranquil sea, owes its blue tint to a celestial trick of the light. As you can see, it is a completely different tone. Let's try something different, though. Let's go on to example number 3 and ask it to write in the style of a real person. So let's click on play. So this time, we're going to ask it, why is the sky blue? An answer in the voice of Stephen King, the horror author. Be dark and sinister. And I'll just wait for that to play. As you can see, I had to pre-record all of these just simply because it is down for quite a lot of the time. You would have been disappointed in that. So the answer from ChatGPT: the sky, a seemingly endless expanse of tranquil blue, hides a sinister secret behind the serene facade. So you see that the trick really of getting human-like responses from ChatGPT is to ask it for human-like responses. You have to be quite specific in what you ask it. And after all, it does give you what you want because because GPT-3, the language model, is able to understand context. It knows and understands exactly what you want. So some top tips for using prompts yourself. As you can see, the content that it produces very much depends on how you word your prompts. So here are my 3 top pieces of advice for using prompts to get the absolute most out of it that you can. Number 1, be specific with your prompts. If you ask it a generic question, you're probably going to get a generic answer. If you want to know why the sky is blue in scientific terms, make sure you include in scientific terms. Give the language model some context. So let's say that you want to discover some ways to market your business, for example, and you ask it, okay, how do I market my business? You'll get an answer, but it probably won't be helpful. So instead, tell it what your business does, what products you sell, who your target market is, and what your brand values are. You'll get a completely different response. And thirdly, ask it to respond in a particular tone of voice, especially if you need personality. If you want the response to be fun and containing humor, for example, ask it to be fun and add humor. If you want prose, ask for prose. And if you want a response that can be read by a 6-year-old, ask it exactly that. You have to tell it what you want. It might be AI and it might be incredibly clever, but it's not a mind reader. So the visible and the hidden benefits for business. Let's have a look at how ChatGPT and OpenAI can really help businesses. You might be thinking that, and you probably have heard all the fuss about it, that OpenAI, ChatGPT, it's all about generating content and blog posts and all of that content heavy stuff. But the impact of it goes much, much deeper than this. Because ChatGPT and OpenAI are so incredibly fast and efficient at looking up data and responding to questions, it can actually increase in efficiency and productivity. It can automate tasks that are usually repetitive and provide customer service and support, such as chatbots. Because it's faster, it's more cost effective. And that means employees can focus on the higher level tasks. Put this all together and ChatGPT can actually increase your ROI. another benefit is that it can provide a deep insight into the market. So if you want to know what the market trends are for a particular industry, let's say for over the last decade or so, you no longer need to go searching for that information. You can just ask for it. So if you want to know what the market insight is for ladies' shoes in the UK, you can ask it that and it'll tell you exactly that. If you want an insight into the demographics of a target market, it'll tell you. And it will even suggest promotional strategies and suggestions based on that information. And I'm going to use, I'm going to show you something that I'm kind of putting together at the moment, just as an experiment in my spare time. And it's called Brandable. And as I said, it's just something that I'm working on in spare time at the moment, just using the Chat API, the OpenAI. And because I pay for the service, admittedly, it's it's pence. It kind of skirts around the ChatGPT interface and you don't get any downtime to it. So let's say, for example, that you want to use AI for marketing. It will actually help you with some marketing tasks that normally take absolutely ages. For example, helping you to brainstorm promotional activities and ideas that can promote a product, for example. So let's say, just looking at this screen for a moment, that I wanted, my business is selling gourmet burgers to festival goers. And I want to know some promotional ideas of what I can do to get the word out. So we put in, generate 10 creative, detailed ideas to market a business that sells gourmet burgers to festival goers. I'm going to click on generate. And it does take, it takes up to sort of 15 seconds or so, not too long at all. And what it will do, it'll go away and actually think about that. Now, I could provide a lot more information than that. Obviously, I could tell it all about my target market, my history, my company values, all sorts of things I can feed to it. And I just hope this is going to load, actually. What are we on, 26? Oh, here we go. Right, it's coming. So it will actually generate ideas for you. So teaming up with other organizing companies and offer free burger offers, set up a loyalty program, participate in local food festivals. Now, obviously, it can't read my mind and it doesn't know everything that there is to know about my business. If I did run a gourmet burger stall. But you get the idea, you know, the more information that you give it, the more specific it will be as well. So it's incredibly clever what OpenAI are doing, and you don't necessarily have to use ChatGPT to get this information. There are other companies out there that are doing very similar things, but you get the idea of what AI is actually capable of. Let's go back to here. Okay. Oh, by the way, please don't ask me for access to Brandable that I've just shown you. It's nowhere near ready, and to be honest, it might not even see the day of light. But we'll see about that. Okay. So the next thing on the list is customer segmentation and personalization. So if ChatGPT can analyze a customer as they are mid-journey, for example, on a website, browsing around, having a look at products, companies can actually use that insight and feed it into ChatGPT or OpenAI to provide personalized product recommendations based on their browsing and purchase history, and suggest other products that match their profile. It's also capable of lead generation and scoring. So it can be integrated within a website and actually interact with potential customers, ask questions, gather information about their needs and interests, and be able to score them and determine whether they're a hot lead or a time waster. So incredibly powerful stuff. And then finally, one that everyone's getting really excited about at the moment is marketing content generation. And it's by far the biggest interest about ChatGPT is this content, which I'll cover on the next slide. So ChatGPT and marketing, there is a reason why marketers, content creators, and unfortunately spammers as well, are absolutely tripping over themselves to use ChatGPT. Primarily is because of content generation, something that every marketer has to put aside plenty of time for. It's very, very time consuming stuff. With ChatGPT and OpenAI, you can use it for content creation, and you can use it in so many ways. It is pretty incredible. You can use it, for example, to rewrite marketing content so it's more persuasive. So you can take your homepage copy, rewrite it so it's more persuasive. Do the same with all your product descriptions. You can introduce the ADA copywriting formula into your copy as well, or a problem agitate solution, what we call the PASS, into copy to make it incredibly powerful. And brochure copy. So wherever you're using text, you can actually use it to say, okay, rewrite this, but I want you to write it persuasively for your audience, whatever type of people that you're marketing to. But it doesn't always have to be about content creation. ChatGPT can also be used in other areas of marketing too, such as creating chatbots on your website, or as we found out, market research. They can use it to discover industry insights or produce a customer persona, or even get industry trends, that is pre-2021 at the moment. Anything after that is not able to index, although that's going to be changing. It can produce draft agreements and legal documents such as terms and conditions and partnership agreements, privacy policies, returns policies, all of these things that you're able to produce with it. And on that subject, do bear in mind that any contract or agreement that we produce for our businesses is incredibly specific to our businesses. So do get an expert to check. Don't go relying on it alone verbatim. And then to generate content ideas such as blog articles, you can ask it to write out the structure of a blog post, or even write in the content itself, which I'll cover on the next slide. Social media content, you come up with all your content on social media, all your posts, your adverts, anything that is written content based. You can ask it to come up with marketing strategies. As we've seen, you can come up with promotional channels and routes to market and everything else in between as well. It doesn't have to be marketing. You can draft social media bios, CVs, letters of complaint if you want to. Rewrite awkwardly written sentences and paragraphs. Even, it doesn't have to be business. Create a list of fun activities for kids on rainy days. So it's anything really that requires a slightly different human take on things, writing lyrics and poems or drafting the structure of books. This opens up everything, but it is absolutely imperative that you do several things before you go using anything, and I mean anything, that is produced by AI. Number one, really important, fact check. It can get things wrong. It does get things wrong. I've seen it so many times. Check everything before lifting it and using it verbatim. It's just not worth it. So use that content really as a starting block. It's important to read it through, add your own personality, especially if it comes to marketing. Don't just lift it and use it, because it needs to represent your brand. You're also going to need to strip out repetitive phrases. It's not perfect yet. You need to have a good old read through it and think really about your target market and ask the question, is this suitable for my audience? Absolutely crucial that you don't take anything from OpenAI or ChatGPT without really giving it a good old read and write it specifically for your audience. So the role of ChatGPT in content marketing, well, even before ChatGPT, to be honest, there were already plenty of content generation AI tools out there, such as Jasper, AnyWord, WriteSonic, and of course, now we've got ChatGPT. But what ChatGPT does is raise the bar in terms of the quality of the outputs and the readability. Let's face it, a lot of the content that some AI writers churn out is complete and utter junk. But with this now, content marketers no longer really need to worry about what to write about or even how to write it. People can get ideas of what to write, and then actually the task of writing it itself. So a blog post can be generated in under 30 seconds. It's just incredible. Now, bear in mind that I am in no way am I advocating this as a strategy, but it happens. It happens a lot, and it's going to increase 100-fold as well. And to demonstrate this, as you can see on the screen just there, there's a brand new tool called ZimWriter, which can generate 10 4,000-word blog posts that pass all the AI detection tools in just 15 minutes. And I'll be honest, because I've tried this as well. The content that it produces is nothing short of astonishing. It uses ChatGPT, but it comes down to the prompt. It's the way that the prompt is actually put together means that the content that it produces is incredibly lifelike, and it is incredibly difficult to actually distinguish it between AI and human written. And some SEOers are, in fact, quite a lot. They're already ranking in top slots from ZimWriter and other similar tools as well. Personally, I'm not convinced, but I am curious. I'm naturally curious anyway. So what I'm going to be doing over the coming weeks and months is that to see whether AI content is going to be penalized, I bought a copy of this ZimWriter, about about $190 or so. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be creating a blog all about my new hobby, which is, just, oddly enough, don't ask, creating biltong, the meat. And I'm going to write it all using AI content. It will be an experiment to see what happens in the search engines, and I don't know how it's going to get on, but it'll be interesting to see what actually happens with it. But I think really we're going to see some interesting tools spring up too. I think there's going to be an explosion in online niche tools designed to help people accomplish certain tasks and activities such as marketing. It's going to be very interesting what ChatGPT does with content marketing. So if you're going to be considering using AI content, well, I suppose one of the big questions is, should I use AI content as part of my marketing strategy? And to that question, I'll say, well, yes, but with a caveat. No one really knows how AI content will be treated by the search engines. And up until only about 3 or 4 months ago or so, Google actually said that it would treat AI content the same as auto-generated text, i.e. spam and spun content. But just a few weeks ago, Google did a U-turn and actually said they're okay with it, and that if content is written for the user and not for ranking, then that's okay. What they're basically saying is that quality is the thing that really matters the most. And I think personally that the Google's U-turn is due to the fact that they probably want to get in on the act too. In fact, yesterday they announced Bard, their version of ChatGPT yesterday, because ultimately they want to integrate similar products within their search engine, and Microsoft do as well. They want to, but you do have to be very, very careful. No matter what these search engines tell you, you have to be very careful. There is even ambiguity within the ChatGPT terms and conditions themselves, what you really can and can't use the content for. Now, officially, you can't publish output from ChatGPT or OpenAI and claim that it's human generated when it's not. Really, legally, you're meant to actually say that you are using ChatGPT or OpenAI. But I asked ChatGPT using the prompt, who actually owns the copyright of content generated by AI? And it actually told me that the content itself that it was churning out was copyright OpenAI. However, in their terms and conditions page, it states that the content, both the input and the output, are actually assigned to the user. So there's a little bit of a grey area there, a bit of ambiguity. So you've got to be, if you are going to be using content, just bear that in mind. So what if you want to use it to generate all your blog posts? Now, this is what's going to be the big area, I think. But it's also a very, very grey area. Not only are you having to contend with possible problems with Google, but OpenAI may or may not permit you to use it for creating blog posts. It's as simple as that. As I said, it's very vague at the moment. Saying that, though, many people are actually already doing that. OpenAI and ChatGPT will see an absolute explosion in online AI content over the next few years. In fact, it's already started. Sadly, most of it will be complete junk. All I will say, though, is this. If you're going to use it really wisely. As I've said before, never, ever, ever take content verbatim. Rewrite the content using your own voice and personality, and always, always, always check facts and accuracy. It does get things wrong. You may be able to draft 10 5,000 word blog posts in under 15 minutes, but that doesn't mean that they should be used in their original format. Please leave it to the spammers. Saying that, I think it is safe to use it for gated content such as membership platforms, intranets, and anything that's behind some kind of login wall or paywall. And I've just done that with one of my websites, Wilco Radio, where I'm producing a series of one-page information sheets called Wingtips. So it's really useful for that. And as long as you're producing content that is written and aimed at real people rather than search engines, you'll be okay. Just don't take my word for that. And of course, if you're using AI content for internal purposes, such as creating marketing strategies and ideas, what I showed you before with brandables, that's brilliant. That is just absolutely perfect. So what is the future potential? Well, no one really knows where ChatGPT is heading. In fact, AI in general. But one thing is for certain: it's going to change everything for better or worse. We are going to see some GPT integrated within tools and softwares and systems such as CRM software that can analyze demographic data and provide customer service interaction and that kind of thing. When it comes to interacting with people, ChatGPT is going to be huge. And I think that the likes of CRM and marketing as a whole will be a massive benefactor in this. And it's also going to be used in some quite interesting, unusual ways too. I was reading an article the other day, and it said this: In an interview with Motherboard, that's a publication, Somnium Space Arthur Shaichov said a user had started to integrate OpenAI's chatbot into his metaverse, kind of like an online life, creating a virtual assistant that offers a faster pathway for the development of live forever mode. Saichov's project to allow people to store the way that they talk, move, and sound until after they die, when they can come back from the dead as an online avatar to speak with their relatives. It is pretty mind-blowing, scary as well. And time will tell where it's going to go. If you are interested in GPT and AI, it's going to be a very, very interesting couple of years ahead, I think. Some frequently asked questions. So let's have a look at some questions that some people most commonly have about ChatGPT and AI. How human-like is it? You have to Shirley Palmer, the scary thought. It is a scary thought. How human-like is it? It's not perfect, but it is incredibly good. And there was an early experiment in the US. 80 people were asked to judge whether some 200-word articles were written by humans or GPT. And they guessed right only 52%, meaning that half of people couldn't detect AI content. And that is with GPT-3. ChatGPT uses 3.5, which is even more convincing. And sometime in the first half of this year, in fact, it's probably going to be very, very soon, GPT-4 will be launched. And some people will say, in fact, we know that there's going to be even higher levels of natural language understanding. So it's going to be pretty amazing what it's going to be capable of. Is it accurate? According to OpenAI, ChatGPT's answers can sometimes be misleading, inaccurate, and untruthful. To be honest, I haven't seen very much of that, but don't be discouraged from that. It's quite a generic disclaimer. It can be very, very accurate, but again, I can't say this enough. If you're going to rely on the response it gives you, you must double check facts and accuracy. And also be aware that it's only been trained on data up to 2021. So it doesn't know any facts that happen after this, after 2021 until GPT-4 comes along. And also bear in mind that it's not actually able to access the internet yet either. So you can't ask it to look up data on the web that it hasn't already indexed. Isn't it all going to sound the same? Well, yes, to a degree, at least until people either use specialized tools that interacts with the OpenAI API, or at least learn how to use and create high quality prompts that return high quality responses. So yeah, everything will, as people are learning how to create good prompts, I think you're going to get some things that are going to be quite easy to detect. But the great thing about these prompts is that if you're specific, you can create things that are completely unique. And I know some good copywriters who can spot AI written content fairly easily. I know that Jackie Barry is online here, and yeah, to write as well. But I think the average layman isn't able to really detect the AI content as much as a professional copywriter would, as long as, again, you're careful with your prompts and you provide enough context and ask it to make it as human as you can and inject it with your own personality once it's been written. So be specific with your prompts. Ask it to write in a certain way. Tell it to be conversational, professional, or fun, or even self-deprecating. Give it context. Will this replace search engines? I don't believe it will. I know that Google are looking into it at the moment. As I said, they announced that they're going to be launching Bard, which is going to integrate within their search results very soon. But they have been very worried about ChatGPT, to be honest. Their founders issued a code red emergency and got together. I know that I just caught a message from Alan that said, will it cite sources? Yes, it will, apparently. Let's have a look. See, I've had another message that just flashed up, but it's gone again. So I'm really sorry if I didn't read this. I can't tell where to actually see the chat. I'm sorry about that. Okay. Is AI going to decimate jobs? Well, this is the $1 million question, isn't it? I think personally that it will have an impact. Prior to AI content, business owners and marketers had to either A, write content themselves, or B, hire someone to actually do it. I do think that it's inevitable that this will affect the copywriting industry in some way. We just don't know by how much just yet. My take on it is that the best copywriters, I believe that they will become even in more demand. The low quality mass produced, as Jackie Barry's saying right now, the low quality mass produced copywriters who churn out the dozens of articles every day, they'll be the ones that will suffer. I really do believe that is going to be a good thing, because we don't want the internet full of junk. Content writers, not proper copywriters. Yeah, exactly, Jackie. Yeah. So is AI content detectable? If you're an experienced wordsmith or copywriter by trade like Jackie, then you probably will be able to spot AI generated content. But I think it's also inevitable that it's going to get more difficult as newer versions of GPT become available. Don't forget, this is very, very early stage at the moment. There are tools out there on the internet where you can paste text in and the system will tell you if it's actually been written by a human or by AI. That's all well and good. But if you're creative with your prompts and ask it to introduce elements such as literary devices that I mentioned before, almost every one of these tools, and I've tried them all out, say that the content is very highly unlikely to be written by AI. And that's, to be honest, slightly worrying stuff, especially if you're in an industry which requires critical thinking skills, such as education, for example. And OpenAI, they've addressed it head on, saying that future versions of output may contain a watermark in the text. No one really knows how that's going to work, but I suspect anyway that responses will be written in a certain way using patterns of text, including the placement of adjectives or nouns, to secretly say that this is AI. And I don't think we'll know for sure how this will be addressed by those in industry sensitive to AI content, such as education. But as my friend and business partner, Bruce King, says, we'll have to just suck it and see. So let's wrap things up. Here's what we learned today. So we learned that OpenAI is based on natural language processing, which means that a computer is able to respond to human queries in an incredibly human-like way. It's popular at the moment simply because of the launch of ChatGPT, which gave everyone the ability to try it out for free. And to be honest, a lot of the hype is down to marketers scrambling to create mass-produced content to help them rank in the search engines. That said, do not attempt yourself to use it for SEO purposes until it has been proven. And to get the most out of ChatGPT, we learned that you really, really need to learn how to create high-quality prompts. It is a fantastic marketing tool for business owners to learn new skills, to learn strategies, to streamline their business, brainstorm ideas, and create content that is designed to improve customer interaction. And it's also important not to rely on any output for any purpose until it's been checked for errors and accuracy. And we also learned, well, maybe we didn't learn it, but I've got a funny feeling that some creative industries may be affected. It is too early to say what's going to happen there. But overall, AI as a tool is not a passing fad. There are massive potentials for using AI in business. And the earlier you'll learn how to make it a part of your business, the quicker you'll actually benefit from it. So thanks ever so much. What I'll do is I'll go back to a full screen if I know which one it is. I think it's that one. Okay, so does anyone have any questions at all about OpenAI or anything that I chatted about today? Thank you for taking the time. Jackie, you're very welcome. Absolutely. If people want to actually take themselves off mute to ask a question, that's cool. If I can't see any chats from, I should have learned how to do this, shouldn't I, properly? More chats. Oh, I'm sorry, I've just realized. Let's have a quick look through. Any chance you can share on full screen? I'm sorry that it wasn't full screen. I had no idea. I think that is down to the individual user, but I'm not sure about that. Sorry about that if it was a bit small. Let's have a quick, that's a scary thought, life after death. I thought it was still UK, can't write as well as me. Jackie Barrett, yeah, we know that, Jackie. Will it reference where it got content from if you ask it? Yes. OpenAI, not necessarily, but I know that that Bard from Google, I've seen the very early versions of how it's integrated within within the search results, and they've got a special tab for it, and so have Microsoft. And apparently they're going to be citing sources, which is good. Very annoying from an educational viewpoint. I couldn't agree more. As an ex-teacher with a daughter going off to college this year, however, some amazing potential uses too. Yeah, the whole education sector. I know that my brother-in-law is a deputy head, and yeah, there's a lot of concern about it at the moment. And the more human-like it gets, the more worrying that's going to be. Again, from Jackie, even OpenAI has an AI detector. Yeah, oddly enough, theirs is probably the worst one out of all of them. For some reason, it just doesn't pick up their own content. There are better ones out there, which is very odd, and it just goes to show how human-like it is. If even their own AI detectors can't detect things properly. Yeah, thank you. Can you ask it to write so it's not AI detectable? You can. You can. There's a tool that I was saying about Zimwriter, and there's a little checkbox that you can just tick the boosts, boost the output so it's not detectable. And the output is just, you paste it into any AI or plagiarism detector, and it cannot detect a trace of it. Over and over again. Info about Bard, thanks for sharing that, Jackie. And how to protect your content from being crawled by AI. To be honest, I wouldn't do that just yet. I wouldn't protect it from being crawled by AI, because if you think about it, the search engines need that content. And if Google are going to be using it, then they're going to be citing the reference to it, or they should do anyway. So there is a chance that you might gain even more visitors. I wouldn't block it for the time being anyway. Does it sense emotion or feeling from text? Or is there any future plans for using voice as well? Dave, thanks for that question. Yes, well, it doesn't sense emotion, obviously. It can't do that. But what it can do is that it can read context behind language, and that's the amazing thing about it. So it will look at your conversation or sentence or paragraph as a whole, and it kind of understands whether there is emotion behind it. All very, very clever stuff, and it's something that I don't fully understand myself yet, the actual inner workings of it. That's how to opt out of Common Crawl in the future. I suppose that I wouldn't. I don't know particularly why you would want to opt out of Common Crawl unless you are protecting content. Something's copyrighted. I don't know. I can't see any massive value in doing that, but I think time will tell. Chris, very insightful presentation. Thanks to thank you all. I'll have to pop seats soon. Cheers, Cass. Much appreciated. Anyone else got any conversations? Anyone want to take themselves off mute? Please feel free to do so, or drop me a quick note on here. Anyone else? Okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap things up then, and yep, no problem at all. Thanks Liz, thanks Cass, thanks Dave. Drop me a line if you've got any questions about it. I'm here. Thanks ever so much for everyone that's joined me today, and I hope that I've answered some questions and concerns that you may have about ChatGPT and OpenAI. What I will encourage you to do, though, is just to have a play, have a tinker with it, and then because I really was anti AI when it comes to using it for content and what have you, but it's kind of won me round just simply because some of the content that you can produce is incredibly high quality, and as long as you're producing it for the right reasons, I don't see massive problems as long as you're not using it to put people out of their jobs, I guess. But anyway, thank you ever so much for allowing me to present this today. Really appreciate it. And as I said, if you've got any questions, be in touch with me. Take care for now. Thanks ever so much. Bye then.